All right, let's get the ball rolling. Hi there, I'm First Warn 5 Meteorologist Mike Nicco. Going to walk you through the next 7 days. There are some changes. If you like consistency, we'll find that also. It's a really interesting pattern we're looking at, and we're going to take a look at the tropics. That was something we don't normally do, but it's going to tie into why our pattern is stuck the way it is. So here's what's going to happen. Let's just jump right in and start talking about what we're looking at the next couple of days. So what we're watching, number one, this consistently warm weather, whether it's day or night, lows and highs this week, 10 to 15 degrees warmer than average. So that's one thing we're watching. The other, the tropics. Yeah, Imelda and Umberto are influencing our weather. That's one of the reasons why our weather is not changing. They're kind of clogging up the stream, if you will, putting a dam out there, not allowing systems to progress at their natural west to east flow. That will eventually change. Now, it's a hint at this point. Oh, your yard getting a little crunchy, bushes, trees, garden getting a little stressed. Wish the pools were still open until this hint of a chance for rain comes. And yeah, it's going to be next week. At the earliest. So let's talk about the here and now, and let's just walk you through and get you prepared for what's going to happen this afternoon. I think we'll have some high clouds roll in. Still going to be plenty of sunshine. Plenty. You'll want to have the sunglasses. You'll want to have the summer clothes on. Look at that, 86 at 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., and that's going to be the high for today. And we'll still be at 85 at 5 o'clock. The high temperatures everywhere are going to be in the mid to upper 80s. We've got 86 here. But look at Lawrence, 87. Look at Warrensburg, 87. Chillicothe, 86. No matter where you go, temperatures are well above that normal high of 74 degrees. It does lead to wonderful evenings. Just the unfortunate aspect of this time of the year is we don't get to enjoy them as much because the sun sets at about 7:03 this evening. It'll still be 80 at 7 o'clock. Once that sun sets, this semi-dry air will start to drop us down to around 70 by the time we get to 11 o'clock. So our destination tomorrow morning, not in the 50s, not here in Kansas City. We'll be in the mid-60s, about 63. There are some 50s. There's some upper 50s out there. But the normal low in Kansas City should be 52. So that means a lot of our outlying neighborhoods, your community should be in the upper 40s. So those crisp, cool nights, they're just not out there. Is it going to be comfortable? Yeah, absolutely. Upper 50s to mid 60s is comfortable. But is it going to be that crisp fall weather? No, we just don't quite have that in the forecast yet. In fact, look at these lows the next several days. The normal is around 52. We'll be around 62 to possibly 64 degrees. And a lot of that depends on the cloud cover and also the temperature the day before. Hear me out on this one. Like if the temperature is 86 today, but then the clouds roll in, that's going to keep some of that warmth in, and that's why I'm going 63 tomorrow. I think those high clouds are going to keep us pretty warm tomorrow morning. I think those high clouds will hang around through Wednesday morning. No high clouds on Thursday. All right, it's not much of a drop, but it's a little bit of a drop down to 62, but that's what we're dealing with right now. This is really how much sun are we going to get, and which way are the winds blowing. If the winds continue to blow out of the southeast, I think we'll stay in the mid-80s. If they start to blow out of the southwest a little bit like we had yesterday, we could hit the upper 80s easily. So for tomorrow, we're going to have high clouds and sunshine and maybe a degree or two milder than today. A lot of mid-80s, a lot of 83 to around 85 degrees. Again, well above our normal high of about 74. Here's a look just to put this in perspective. And I know what's jumping out right now is Thursday and Friday because they're the warmest. They're 87, and that's also October 2nd and 3rd. Some models are saying we could revisit 90 on Thursday and Friday. We're supposed to have the most sunshine. High pressure is going to be almost directly on top of us. We're going to have a little bit of a southerly wind. So those days by far are going to be the warmest. It's just how warm are they going to be? Are we being a little too conservative with an 87? We'll see. I mean, 87, 89, what's the difference this time of the year? Is still going to be abnormally, if not obnoxiously warm. You know, remember, the month didn't start this way. The month started off cool. Look at all that blue. That signifies cooler than average high temperatures. And then the pattern changed on the 10th, and it's been pretty much warm ever since. That's what the orange means. And right now, if you average our high temperature this month compared to what an average September is, we're 2 degrees warmer than we should be. And, you know, that means for some of us, we're spending more money to stay comfortable in our own homes because we have to run the air conditioner a little bit more. So this is the way I think the month is going to. You notice I already put orange in for today and tomorrow. They're going to be well above average. That means 18 of our 30 days above average, 10 below, again, very front loaded, and 2 normal. That's it, 2 normal days. We don't expect a lot of normal days this time of year because we're starting to get into the pattern change, the in between the seasons. So that's why we call it average, and I don't call it normal because nothing's really normal in September and October. Same thing as like in March and April because we're switching between seasons. They're battling each other and we have those wild temperature swings. All right, let's take it down to the tropics. Here's Umberto, here's Imelda, spinning about 700 miles from each other. Don't think the Fujiwara effect's going to take place, and that would be where Umberto either swallows Imelda or it spins around it and it could crash into the Carolinas. That's not going to happen. But what it is doing is because they're moving so slowly at around 9 to 14 miles per hour, nothing can really get by them. They've put up this huge guardrail, if you will, along the East Coast all the way up to about New York. And most of our storm systems should be coming through the Midwest and into the Mid-Atlantic. And because these are in the way, nothing can move. It's the frustration of sitting like in rush hour traffic where you can't move to your left, you can't move to your right, you can't move forward, you can't move back. So when are these going to move? With that forward speed, it's going to take a while. So here's Monday, and watch as Umberto will have a little bit of an effect on Imelda. It will start to pull it away from the coast and out into the Atlantic. And I hate to be over in Europe when these two land, especially Umberto, because they're going to cause some issues over there, as they'll still be pretty strong when they get there. But for us, they're going to open up the pattern. But look what, it takes until Sunday. So here's a look at the high pressure that's sitting on top of us. Orange, those are 80s. Look how close the 90s are. That is red. And we're looking at 90s just north of us today. Places like Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Sioux City, Iowa, more like could be in the 90s today. All right, so the high pressure. That's why we have such a light wind out of the south-southeast because, you know, high pressure you associate with calm conditions because air is sinking and it's not really moving too much. So that sinking air is what's taking away a lot of the cloud cover. Did you notice as I put that into motion that as Imelda and Umberto moved north initially, they pushed the high into Canada. And then as Imelda and Umberto move off, the high pressure slid down into the vacuum they left over the mid-Atlantic. The entire time we were in the orange. We're going to be in the 80s. But look at what's happening in Denver, Billings. You're seeing blues, you're seeing greens, you're seeing a trough develop. Cooler air funneling in. We're not there yet. We're still on the backside of that high with those southerly winds. In fact, the winds will get stronger as we head into Friday and Saturday, and it's going to be a dry, possibly gusty wind that's going to help us stay in the mid to upper 80s. Once we get into that cool air, which is possible next week, that's one of the keys to the forecast. So let me show you what we're looking at. As long as that high's around, and this is the rain pattern through at least Friday, notice we're completely dry. All the way from New England down to the Rio Grande River Valley of Texas is all influenced by that area of high pressure. Now let's forward it Saturday and Sunday. And there you start to see the pattern change. Right now, the bulk of the wet weather is going to stay in Kansas, but we're going to watch that migration of that wet weather try to move closer and closer to Kansas City and eventually into Missouri. The issue is it may move north before making it here. This is the most optimistic model for the enthusiasts. This is the Euro, and it is the most optimistic that we'll have chances of wet weather next week, and that will help push our temperatures back to the upper 70s to low 80s. The GFS, on the other hand, says we're going to be bone drying in the mid to upper 80s once again, and that would just be an amazing streak of dry, warm weather. All right, so let's round it out with your Security Bank 7-day forecast. And you notice we're anywhere from 85 to 87 through Friday, maybe 84 Saturday, 81 Sunday. You start to see a little bit of a change. And look at those lows, right around 62 to 64 degrees. So at least the air conditioner won't be running during the overnight hours. Subtle changes in the cloud cover is why you see subtle changes in the temperature, subtle changes in the wind. The wind will start coming a little bit more out of the southwest Thursday and Friday as the high moves off, and that's why we're a little bit warmer, and that's why the GFS and the Euro to a lesser extent are pushing us into the upper 80s to low 90s. All right, so there's not a lot of change. I mean, Wednesday is October 1st. Wednesday is our last sunset at 7 o'clock until like March 8th, which is 159 days later. So I always love this time of the year because we have dry heat, but it's always a bummer because the evenings are so short and it's hard to get out there and enjoy it for a lot of us, working 9 to 5, 9 to 6, 8 to 6 or whatever, So embrace it. I mean, it's good to have, no doubt. Do we need rain? Absolutely. We haven't forgotten that we need rain. Then the drought monitor comes out Thursday. I'm sure we'll probably be in a level 2 out of 5, maybe even a level 3 out of 5 when that drought comes out. Thankfully, it's a little late in the season. It's still going to affect some crops, still going to affect the foliage, but it's still a little bit later in the season, which is nice, as opposed to if this happened during the most crucial part of the growing season. So that's a look at your 7-day forecast. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you stopping by and allowing me to get you ready for the next 7 days. You have a great rest of your afternoon. Melissa and Luke are working on our next update, and they'll have that on the television coming up at 3:30. Enjoy. Be sure to join them then. And, of course, we'll be back at 6:30 with the weather show. And a lot of good topics coming on there. Pumpkins, more about the tropics. Obviously, we like to try to keep things very current when we do the weather show. So make sure you tune in at 6:30 to 7 or record it. Watch it later. Either way, you'll enjoy it. All right, have a great day.